Hello, welcome to the Jungle Brothers
me.
podcast, JB Cast, episode number 18. Today we're talking about functional...
What was that noise that T just made?
Let's get my voice ready for talking.
You can't talk over... This ruins the transcript. Stop.
Sorry.
Stop.
T's
Episode-
fucking amped.
Episode 16, and he's not even on coffee. 16, we're talking about... Boom. Functional fitness.
Yeah, we're
Is
gonna
that right?
we're gonna discuss functional fitness and how we feel about it, the term, the categorization, and just explore that a little bit because I think there's a lot of relevant stuff in there for the good people.
How's you warmed up?
Yeah. La 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 la.
I'll kick it off. Can I kick it off?
Yeah,
Let me do you junglebrothers.com. Find us. Get in touch.
get in touch.
Yeah, check us out on Instagram and YouTube too. There's cool stuff going on there. But the functional fitness thing. This has been with me for a long time. Ever since we were first brainstorming the name for our gym, for our business. I remember we were tossing around a bunch of different names, and I kept including functional in it. I was like, yeah, I thought it was real cool. I was like, yeah, functional like training gym or whatever the fuck.
Functional Brothers.
Functional Brothers. And T tore it to shreds. T's like, yeah, I fucking hate that word, functional. And I was like, whoa, how can you say that, man? And then you had a really good definition. Do you remember what you said?
No, I
You-
don't remember the conversation.
You don't remember the conversation?
Joe's basically decided, we can talk about the next podcast. And he's like, functional fitness. I know T has some strong opinions about it. So we just have to
Dig it out.
pick that opinion so we can get T on a rampage.
Yeah.
So I'm front row seats for here. So go ahead.
Well, it came that conversation went down, so I was throwing that out and you were like, well, what the fuck does functional actually mean? You were like, for a bodybuilder, bodybuilding is functional. So like for what they want to do, the type of training they're doing is functional. It works. For a runner, running is functional. So you can't say that something is functional fitness, but then do only one specific type of training, right? And this was coming around at the time when we were talking about moving away from isolation work, moving to more whole body compound movements, pushing and pulling things, taking more of that sort of primal approach, which I was like, yeah, it's functional. And you were like, well, not necessarily. Give me some thoughts.
Well, I guess you got to ask yourself what the term means, or what it probably was. Where it came from, I have no idea, but it was a movement. I guess I'm guessing that it was like a bit of a movement that came from bodybuilding, because bodybuilding came in, and then all the strength and conditioning coaches realized you could put on lots of muscle real quick by lifting weights, and then there's probably a bunch of scientists that realized that the isolation work wasn't very effective for their athletes, and then they started doing compound movements and adding load, and all of a sudden you have these full body movements that replicate a little bit more or look a little bit more like what we do in day-to-day life. And I guess the idea of it was to get your body strong, get you better at what you do day-to-day, and keep you injury-free. What I would say would be the goal for functional fitness.
Yeah, totally.
Did the quotation marks
Yeah.
for you guys at home.
Yeah, it's a good point. So it's like, well, and I guess I should preface with another thing that triggered me to bring this up, which was I saw a coach of a gym online talking about CrossFit, and he was saying we do functional fitness because we're training to be able to do functional things like pick our baby up out of the cot, move houses, put boxes above our head and put it on the shelf, like these activities that you'd need to do in day-to-day life as an adult. But I thought to myself, well, fuck, you can already do that. Like he can do that. So why are you still training? Because you've already reached the goal, man.
Yeah.
Like it's done. You can retire now. You can already pick the baby up out of the cot. So why are you training then beyond that point? If that's truly what the
10
goal
babies.
is. Yeah, 10 babies, big babies, real big
Time.
ones. Yeah. Watch me unwrap this baby. But so I was like, all right, I get it from a philosophical perspective, and I like it, and I agree with it. And if someone walks in our doors who's in really bad shape, that would be the first goal set. But then after that, what? Like, why are you training? Right? Like, where does it go? You know? And then I was thinking about us. I'm like, well, why do we train? And then there's like a whole bunch of different ideas. You know, why T, why you train, why I train Paul, why you do your thing. Like, what is it? And so that kind of opened me up to this idea of wanting to discuss that.
Yeah, training with context, like having a reason. And I think this is where a lot of the stuff that all the pros are doing gets lost as it comes down the ladder, because it's like, okay, they're doing functional training for a rugby player, and then the guy who's not playing rugby does all the same functional training, but there's no context there. So there's something lost in translation when that travels over. And then it becomes a buzzword, and then everyone's doing functional fitness, and the more that gets watered down, the less that terminology applies to what it was originally designed for. So it goes from this, okay, making me better and stronger at doing day-to-day activities, to fucking breaking me, you know?
Which is as dysfunctional as it gets.
Which is functional 45,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I know I said it. I said it.
Yeah.
But you know, the
Pew, pew,
proof
pew.
is in the pudding.
Shots
You know?
fired. Yeah, that's right.
So functional training is still useful. Like at least, like you say, it kind of might have come out of in opposition to or after the evolution of bodybuilding. But like it's sports specific. You're saying so. It's kind of like
It was
you have to have the right
almost
function.
It
line
was
with the
almost
training.
like a pendulum swinging back in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
You know, like an extreme reaction to what bodybuilding was doing. So so then there's, it's maybe like the left and right debate.
Yeah.
You want to be somewhere in the middle. So it's like bodybuilding was like, it was good for putting on muscle, but then it was like fucking people up because it was not recognizing mechanical deficiencies and it was creating imbalances and blah, blah, blah. So then it was like, all right, well, all we're going to do is like...
Wood chops with a cable
Yeah,
machine.
and a Bosu ball and the Swiss ball and instability.
Don't Olympic
and,
lift.
Yeah, no
press
bilateral
across,
stuff.
Nothing over the shoulders.
Yeah, all that, and it was like...
I see.
So, they were trying to do the right thing, but it swung too far back in the other direction. And, and it's kind of like any dogma. Then it becomes hateful of the other side, and then it categorizes it. So, we don't do bodybuilding because that's not functional. We're functional.
I see.
So then I remember like when I'd go see UT at Fitness First when you were working there, and you can see like the different personal trainers.
Yeah.
And you see like the big jacked, swollen, inflamed bodybuilder ones, and then you see like these little kind of lean, little bit Poindextery, but more coordinated and agile sort of, functional ones. And it's like, well, there's attributes in both parties there that are perhaps desirable depending on what you like.
Which party was T in?
I was in both. I was a jacked, agile, functional guy. Swollen. Did you say red-faced?
You didn't have the red face, but you were jacked. But yeah, so that was the functional movement, right? And then I guess, so I from a personal perspective, I guess I probably resonate a little bit more with the functional one than I do with the other one.
Yeah.
I lean a little bit more to the left than I do to the right.
Yes.
But it's also hard because people will often categorize Jungle Brothers as that. Oh, I've seen what you guys do. It's functional training. And you're like, whoa.
Why are we not functional training?
Well, that's a good question. Let's look at it. What is functional about? What is functional about a handstand? We could choose to define that by, well, it teaches you better overhead mechanics and it's good for healthy shoulders and, balance in the body. And, we could find things in it. Surely there's easier ways to address those things rather than doing a handstand.
That's
right?
true. I
You know?
often wondered sometimes when I was upside down in pain.
Yeah. Or perhaps Thai boxing. Like, unless you want to be a Thai boxer, like unless
Why
you're
are you
going to
doing
get in the ring, why are you doing it? Yeah, why do that? So you could easily say, well, that thing is dysfunctional for your lifestyle because you're not planning on joining the circus, and I don't see you out there street fighting every weekend. So what's the point?
I don't talk about it. It's the first rule, dog. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Right? So, or you could look at all the other attributes that those things teach you, and you could look at the greater perspective of training and think, well, you're choosing to work on something that you're not really that good at. And so there's a journey there, and that journey is enriching for you as a human to attain a new skill and to learn new things about your body and to go through that process. And, and that's irrespective of all the mechanical good stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
So, so that is then, like by my definition, that's really cool. That's worth spending time on. But I wouldn't say that it's functional. I'd say it's just a cool thing to do and something worthy of spending your time with.
Training with context, or training for function. Oh no.
Elaborate on the context bit.
Well, you have a reason. You're like, okay, I want to get a handstand. Oh, well, why do you want the handstand? Well, I want to fucking get that Instagram shot, and I know that it's going to give me the aesthetics that I like, and my shoulders are going to feel great once I can achieve that position. The reflection of the strength and the fortitude and the health of my body.
So what are we shooting down then? Like, what do we don't like?
Well,
the
training
word,
without
the use of the
context.
word function.
Because it's like, okay, why am I doing this wood chop? Like all the progressions that I do to get my handstand to reach that point,
Yeah.
are slowly getting me stronger to get to somewhere I want to go.
Yeah.
But if you're just getting in a class and just doing a movement for the sake of that movement alone, and there's no real context to it, there's nothing behind it, there's no reason, there's no rhyme. Like, why am I doing it?
Well,
why am I doing this reverse wood chop with a cable machine?
Because you're trying to lose weight and get fit. Trying to maybe reverse time a little bit. I just need to go do that. So I guess there's the disconnect between, walking around saying, I'm doing I'm functional fitness. I'm doing functional.
Well, that's
is that the problem? That it's
well,
just a bit of a
something
blind.
bad.
that's the
Training,
thing. But that is a context.
Yeah.
I'm doing this to lose weight. I'm doing this. I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's context. But it's like, if you define what you do by, I feel like say that coach that I heard talking about about the CrossFit and babies and boxes up on shelves and stuff was like, all right, well, like if that was how we defined our gym, then like it's a pretty fucking low bar to set. And most of the people that are in here, they're moving on by now because they can all put the baby on the shelf, right? So it's like, okay, so is it function that we're after, or is it just further development as a mover and as a human?
And the journey.
Yeah, and further to that, does that mean that we can do a bit of bodybuilding? Well, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Right? Like if contextually, it's like, yeah, like
we do a wood chop.
If we had a cable machine, maybe.
No.
He's so anti the wood chop.
Yeah, I remember when I did my cert 3 and 4, it was like they give you all the exercises in a conventional Globo gym and all the machines and hell.
Did you do a wood chop?
They had like the columns of like the conservative and the middle ground, and they had the progressive end, and it was like, yeah, wood chop was like always there. It was always like the one example. It's like it's moving across several planes and all this sort of thing. It was like wood
it's
chop,
like the ultimate
progressive
exercise.
Yeah, pretty much. That was it all the
Chase
time.
that wood chop.
Yeah.
Well, what are you after? Wood chop.
Wood chop.
I really want to be able to move across the transverse sagittal and frontal plane at the same time.
Wielding an axe.
If you don't know what a wood chop is cable wood chop.
Cable wood chop.
Is when you grab the cable and it's like from the bottom or the top, depending on how you want to do it, and then you pull it across your body and then you turn. Same motion that you get when you're trying to start the lawnmower. It doesn't start.
It's a decent movement though. Like when I looked at all of the columns and all of the material that they gave me to choose from, and I had like assignments knocked back because I was just using drills that I had learned training with you guys and everything. They're like, no, you got to use the stuff that's in there. That was amongst the ones that were like, oh, it's a decent movement. It just seems a little boring and it's anchored to a
movement for the
machine.
sake of like just for sake of sets and reps. So for instance, like, okay, you're training for function. Somebody comes to you and says, I want to get good at X. And you have to look at what they're doing and go, all right, well, why don't we do Y, to get you good for that. But the problem with the whole functional fitness thing was that everyone's just getting the same thing, and it's all...
It became dogmatic
Yeah,
again.
yeah, that's right. And now
That's true. I
you
see.
know,
Yeah, it's
doing
not.
movement for the sake of just moving for the sake of moving.
Yeah, and none of that stuff is bad, but it's more like what it represents, which is like, which is the idea of, well, I do functional training, I don't do bodybuilding, and I don't do, it's exclusive to other things.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It became dogmatic itself, and in a sense, I can see now that it is a bit of a crime because it's kind of it is what it is, and now people aren't connected with what it actually is. They just blindly go in and do it.
Yeah. And that's and so that's like us trying to get away from that sort of categorization because,
I see. It simplifies it to a point where they don't have to think about the journey. They're like, oh, this is the true journey, so they're not really taking in the full experience.
It's true, but it's also, I think it's more, like for me, it's more so that idea of because you attach to one idea, it means that you disregard other ideas. So it's like,
sure.
it's like if I'm if I'm a yoga guy and I'm so passionate about yoga and I did teach training and that's what I do, and I wear Lululemon and all those things, and
so hot right now.
Lulu, and then I have a lower back problem. Like my lower back's really weak and my glutes are underdeveloped, which you could say sometimes happens to people that just do yoga. So I try and
shots fired.
Pew, pew, pew. I said sometimes to some people who do yoga. Okay, but so I, instead of thinking, oh well, I could go and balance this out with a bit of like deadlifting and stuff, because maybe that's what I need a bit of, like a bit of resistance training and addressing the posterior chain and developing the glutes. That might help me and might help my back. As opposed to, oh no, I'm going to keep doing yoga and try and fix my problem. There's a dogmatic thing going on there when I decide that yoga is going to fix my problem, right? Whereas I believe it's a bit more, it's a better view to pull away from that thing. Go, okay, well, what other things could I do?
What works?
Yeah, well, what's good? What do I need more of? It's the same as someone coming in, and we've done this a lot with our members. You might get someone come in who they're here for fitness and whatever, and we recognize that they need to do some bodybuilding. So we'll put them on a 6 to 12 week bodybuilding program alongside the classes, and they'll put on a few kilograms of muscle, and then that will build the base for them to progress through every other thing we do.
You referring them out to yoga studios?
Not really, eh?
Well, we do.
I'm not anti it at all.
No.
I
You've
mean,
been doing a fair bit lately.
yoga. Oh, you think so? I've been doing a bit.
In Bali, you were doing that.
Yeah, no, in Bali I was.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
Yeah, me too.
It's a
Haven't done
time.
a lot,
It's a time thing for me, right? But so I do flexibility and mobility
Well, that's
work.
what I was going to say. So we do have
Yeah, we
those
tick
components.
We tick
in
those
house,
same
for sure.
boxes. But it's like what tools do we have at our disposal? What does that person need? Okay, let's use that tool, and that tool will change over the course of their training career. But it's not like you just do the one thing.
Which in reality, that's functional training.
Yeah,
That's not the buzzword. That's training for function. That's like
actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
So I mean, in a way, you could say that's what we do. I think that the other thing that comes into mind with when you're throwing these movements around is that there's a lot more than just executing a movement pattern that gets you strong. You got to think about your rest periods, your sets and reps, your tempos, and what effect these things have on the body, and how you apply that to a group of people. And I was thinking about this the other day. We get some pretty big classes here, sometimes up to 25. And why is it that members of our gym are making progress in areas that other gyms are not, and we're still working with groups of people? And it came down to the idea that we teach disciplines, we don't teach fitness. And if you look at all of our classes, we have gymnastics is basic gymnastics disciplines. We have Olympic lifting is a discipline. We have jiu-jitsu or grappling, which is a discipline. We have our Muay Thai and our striking, which are disciplines. It means that with a discipline, you can access that first tier of exercises, to get you strong for those disciplines. But then there's depth. They get harder. They get more challenging. So as the body evolves or gets stronger, then the discipline will challenge you more so the better you get at it.
Perpetually.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between studying a discipline and doing fitness.
Which is exercise
see
for
what you're
exercise sake.
exercise for exercise sake.
It's a great point.
No context.
That is
It's like the
My-
person who does the circuit class
Mm.
and they've been doing the same exercises for the last 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's not as hard now as it was when I first started.
No.
That's
I
exercise.
really, this is my worst nightmare. Exercise for the
Because
sake
you
of
hit the
exercise. And if
plateau
that
and you
person,
hang out there forever.
if that person's listening out there and they're like,
Stop it.
yeah,
Just fucking stop it.
just
Stop stepping up on that box. God damn it. Stop the TRX. Stop. Put the TRX down.
Get off that
Give me a
fucking
call.
Bosu.
Oh, stop now! No, I just think it's just kind of it's
Well, it's
Can I use
hard,
the
right?
word
Because
sad?
it's yeah, it is sad.
It's sad,
It's
like-
what people were sold.
yeah, it's
Do
really
you think-
robotic. Going to work, coming in, just punching my card and doing my.
Do you think?
Maintaining.
Do you think
Yeah.
that movement,
It's
that
not a rich
movement,
life to live.
is taking the same path as functional fitness? Do you think it's becoming a point where
movement?
it's starting to lose its context?
You're talking about the movement scene, the movement culture.
The movement culture.
Oh well, if you were talking about it
Movement.
degrading or evolving into
Well,
a
it's
dogma, it is a dogma. It is dogmatic now. Is that right?
Yeah, totally.
In my understanding of the word, it could be
Unintentionally.
Look, I don't know a great deal about the topic, but I do view it kind of. I see it how I see it, and it was Rafe Kelly who put it in a way that I thought was.
Throw him under the bus, bro.
No, he,
Oh, yeah.
it was in his podcast. He talks about it, and,
Don't
and it
be
was basically. He was just. What did he articulate? He said that. Like a lot of it, the movement stuff is like movements that have been divorced from the culture or the context, which is what you're saying,
Which is the discipline.
Which is the discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where
And
where
I
all
thought-
of these movement patterns derive from in the
Yeah.
first place.
And
Yeah.
that is like what I'm saying about it being so sad and not a great way to live or to train or to move or whatever. He was using as an example the QDR, which people do a lot, but it's being used. It's divorced from the culture that it came from,
Breakdance.
which is the music
Breakdance?
and
Capoeira,
Capoeira.
breakdance.
but yeah, so
Yoga's
then
got it as well, in a way.
yeah, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's that's kind of it's sad that it's disconnected from the experience that you'd have
The
with
origins.
people, the music, the dance, the interaction with other people. I'm sure there are people are using it as well in movement, interacting with each other, but it was just a point he made, and I was like, oh yeah, I like doing stuff to music. I like dance. I just thought if you
You like the food that comes
like the
afterwards?
food that comes
yeah,
up,
conversations with nice people.
that's right.
Tell me about your family.
We think of roughhousing. I know this is off topic.
You are going off topic.
What is? I saw one of Rafe's posts about roughhousing. And they're ruffling each other up a bit. What's your idea? What's your thoughts on that?
Roughhousing. I hadn't really
You going
heard.
to teach your kids how to roughhouse?
I don't know what
I'm not
the word
teaching my
means.
kids how to
necessarily.
roughhouse.
I
He doesn't
think
care
Teaching
what
my
your
kids how
answer
to
is.
fucking fight.
Yeah, he doesn't care what you say.
Thanks, G. This is going off topic, guys. But what do you think about? I'd never heard of that term until recently, and I understand it as like ruffling up your kids, like to help develop them, to have interaction,
I think it's a
physical
good thing.
contact with them. I think it's a good thing. I do
It's
it.
a great thing.
I do it.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's
Fashion.
probably like a good precursor to putting them into fight training as well, right? Like if you
Definitely.
create kids that are okay with being roughed around a little bit and a little bit of kind of, develops a robustness
Yeah.
that then if they want to go and play rugby or they want to go and do Thai boxing,
Martial
whatever.
arts.
Yeah, they're going to be like okay with that element of the discipline.
Is it the word? The word weeds me out a little bit.
It's a bit geeky.
We
What
call
else?
it.
Yeah.
I guess we call it wrestling here. It's like, you wrestle with your kids.
Yeah,
I
I guess
wrestle
Yeah.
with my kids.
maybe it's an
Roughhousing is
American thing.
like Canadian.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like the bully at school, like the Nelson from The Simpsons, picking on like the little dweebs, like roughing up their hair and stuff,
Yeah.
punching their lunchbox out of their hands. They drop their sandwich. I kind of think of it like that in a way.
why you got to. Yeah, I think it's very important to teach kids a martial art, just to know how to, stand up for themselves.
I do too.
Yeah.
Or at the very least,
Self-discipline.
practice some discipline.
Yeah.
Turn up to something
Yeah,
that's
a
difficult.
discipline. That's where it's at. That's where the growth is at. Not the functional fitness.
What was the
Fucking
what was the part we're at before we were talking about? You were asking if we thought that movement had gone in that direction. There's a funny
It's
criticism.
heading in that direction.
Yeah, well, there's a funny criticism of that I've heard of the Ido Portal community, and I know that a lot of people within the community often reference this, and that's that they're the people that do the handstands and the rings training, and it was like if you see the person that's following the Ido program, they're going to be doing a lot of stuff on the rings. They're going to be doing a lot of handstands, and it's like, sure, that is in a way that then becomes dogmatic because it's like that's what we do. We do that kind of thing, and that's us, and we identify with it. I do think in general that any culture that is putting out a set of beliefs around what kind of training to do, it can't
destined.
It can't not be dogmatic.
It's destined.
Yeah, it has to, right? Even though the perspectives in that culture are in essence not. The perspectives are broad reaching. However, you still end up funneling into that thing because you want to get good at that stuff. It's like if you do CrossFit.
But you got to do a lot of something to get good at it.
Yeah, and like philosophically, CrossFit is very broad as well, right? Like it covers everything. But clean and jerk, snatch, the funny handstand push-ups, the chest to bar, like in essence,
Handstand walk.
in reality, that's what you're doing. And it's like, you got to put your time into it. So it's almost unavoidable in a way.
It is.
Maybe
I mean,
like if you
it's
train at Jungle Brothers, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
You
you
can't
just do it
escape
better than everyone.
Yeah,
Um,
heaps more.
Yeah, it's a natural. It seems like the natural human evolution. Like someone comes up with an idea, and then a few people are like, yeah, that works, and then everyone starts to
Then it
practice
tags
it,
it,
and then
then
it
it'll tag
becomes
one,
something, grows a culture, and then it
I mean-
evolves. It pushes that forward a little bit,
Yeah.
and there'll be other ones that come up, and that's the thing.
What do you call it when a word becomes like is it a catchphrase? No, catchphrase.
What are you trying to say?
Like, well, how movement became like I guess no one named it movement. It just became you do movement.
Yeah, it kind of became I know what you mean. And when does it go from becoming something that describes a field of interest to becoming the name of that?
Yeah, it's not no longer.
It's almost like a product.
Yeah, it's it's packaged now in a way.
Yeah.
And I only say this because it's been great for us because I get calls at least one person a week saying, "Hey, I want to train movement," and I really love watching all the movement stuff, that you guys are doing on your social media. So it's the fact that there's a word for it. I guess it gives someone gives someone
We
a
know what
way
they're
of
talking
explaining
about.
it in one word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I want to do a bit of this and a bit of that, a bit of this. I want to do the movement stuff,
Yeah. It gives you easy way to define it, huh?
But but it's almost like once you get that name, like functional fitness, because if you think about the name, it would have just been like, okay, these particular exercises are functional for this particular event or sport or athlete or whatever, and then it just became its own thing. It almost feels like movement's becoming potentially the new functional fitness in a
Ooh.
way.
Yeah, I feel you.
And it doesn't take anything away from the people that practice it,
That's
But,
right, Marco. Doesn't take anything away from the people that practice it.
Mark is sitting here in the office. Just
Specialist
walked in.
movement coach.
But
He's a man.
Get off those rings. Stop handstanding.
But it's just interesting the way things work, and then you've got to think, okay, well, where's it heading after that?
Yeah, what comes
What's
next?
Next, when you've tagged movement, like that's everything.
Yeah,
It doesn't leave any space for anything else.
I saw there was a
Stillness, man.
stillness
Stillness movement.
That's a thing.
Well, the pendulum's
is.
got to swing in the other direction.
Yeah, there's a thing. It's like the stillness of the stillness of the mind, movement of the body. But like CrossFit, a big community, right, gives rise to all these little businesses that come up through CrossFit and do their thing, which is kind of cool. I like to watch that. but there was one that I saw that's come up called functional bodybuilding, and he's yeah, and it's kind of big in the CrossFit community, and it's like some kind of online program, or I don't even fucking know, but it looks like some kind of online program where they embrace some bodybuilding techniques in order to make people better at CrossFit. And that's great. It's like cool. Like that's what I remember. I remember hearing.
What the fucking? I don't know.
How
bro.
dare they?
What the?
Tell us what you think, Ted.
Oh
Come on.
man,
You're-
come on.
What do you
Functional bodybuilding. Like you just picking two words that I don't know resonate with people.
He did the finger thing again. Quotation
wiggled
marks.
his head a little bit. Like,
Resonate, like that's even a
Fucking
word.
Come on.
Yeah.
better do some R&D first before you start tearing it down. Right?
Well, it's true, but it's an interesting thing because it's almost like that's exactly what their culture
are.
was against.
Well, they are that. I mean, you look at the standard CrossFitter,
Jacked.
and they're just big, fucking functional bodybuilders, I guess, in a way. Functional at lifting heavy weight over short. What is it?
I wouldn't
short
s-
durations of time in.
I wouldn't
high
say
intensity.
the standard CrossFitter is that. The ones at the top of the game are.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing a really interesting podcast. Don't remember who it was, but they were talking about the top tier CrossFit athletes, and this was when Rich Froning was like dominating the games, and he was saying that like the culture of CrossFit hangs a lot of shit, or used to hang a lot of shit on bodybuilding, right? Because it was like we're doing the functional thing. It's completely different. But in reality, a lot of these guys and girls that were reaching the top tiers of the sport had come from a background of bodybuilding. So they'd spent like plenty of years in the gym in their early 20s or whatever, pumping weights, putting on plenty of muscle, and then got into CrossFit. So that base of muscle actually really helped them in order. It just gave them a certain amount of, whatever stability and mass that they could then manipulate to become, monsters in CrossFit. So he was saying like, well, it's been a really good thing for them, but now we kind of exclude it and same thing for us, right?
Yeah.
When we get someone coming in who we know they've done a few years of lifting weights in the gym, often there's things we got to address like mobility and maybe some coordination and that kind of thing. But having a bit of muscle helps.
Oh yeah,
Definitely makes everything easier, right?
strength is there. Yeah.
So I think it's kind of cool in a way. It's just a recognition that like, all right, this is a bit of muscle is a valuable attribute, and maybe some people don't have enough of it. And if they're metconning every day and just burning through calories and like not actually building any muscle, then let's build some muscle and let's make everything else a little bit easier.
The most bodybuilders that I've spoken to, they're not big on CrossFit.
No,
They don't like it at all.
they fucking hate
They
it, right?
hate it.
And why is that?
I don't know. Well, I guess it's the pace, the speed that these guys move at, and the loads that they're carrying. I mean, if you speak to somebody who's
And because
like
CrossFit and because
decent
bodybuilders hate
bodybuilder.
anyone that does overhead presses.
Yeah, they don't like the overpress. They lock out their limbs. Nah, they can't do that.
Bad for the joints.
And they're moving way too fast for their liking, for the kind of weight that they're shifting as well. You know what else I think they've got problems with? The fact that like CrossFitters are so jacked, yet they mostly claim to be, well, it's an all-natural sport, whereas bodybuilders are jacked, but they're openly using gear.
Juice to the gills.
You know?
It's true. It kind of threatens their
General
position
statement.
a little bit,
Not
doesn't
only
Yeah,
it?
a little bit, I think.
And they look better. Yeah. I would say like the standard jacked CrossFitter looks a lot better than your standard jacked bodybuilder.
Yeah, like
body's
top-tier guys look pretty good.
Yeah, body's a lot
Get
more.
some freaks coming out of there, though.
Fuck, you
Like,
get some
some more
monsters.
Like, it's all fucking twisted up and shit.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're talking about top tier, right? So we're not looking at like going to the regular
Big,
gym and looking
big
at 99%
individuals.
of their member
Lots
base.
of muscle. Yeah.
But, well, I think that's the same thing though. It's like left versus right, right? It's like bodybuilders just hate them because they're so different, and CrossFitters just hate them because they're so different.
But really, when you look at it from an outside point of view, like not a normal human, but somebody who doesn't participate in either of those sports, they're like big jacked person lifting heavy weight. It's almost the same category when you think about it, you know,
Yeah, it's true.
from a distance.
What's the give me some context on why you guys train. Let's talk about that. Paulie, why do you train?
Well, I'm actually sitting here thinking that the word functional is getting ripped on a little bit here. But we're taking it apart. We're just looking at, fucking what it is. Just because I guess it's one word. And when I think about it, like,
Well, you're dancing once a week.
yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Yeah,
Well,
bro.
firstly,
Why the
'cause I
fuck are you
enjoy
doing
it.
that?
Well, firstly,
man.
because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I did that Fighting Monkey workshop last year, and it was awesome. The intensive was mad, 5 days of it. And there was a bunch of dance in there, and I realized how much I enjoyed it, and I felt really good afterwards. So I decided this year to try and chase a little bit of dancing, trying to do once a week. So it was that, mainly the fun thing. Secondly, also came into the fighting thing. It was a lot of Fighting Monkey ideas about shifting weight and being able to do and being coordinated. And I like coordination, the idea of it being a sports player, etc. And now even more getting more into the striking here at the gym. I'm also doing it because it's helping me shift my weight more intelligently and keep my torso on top of my feet.
Functional dancing.
Shift my weight, as in move your body around, or shift body fat.
No, move my body around.
Okay.
Yeah, so just having my weight distributed in such a way that I can do anything I want at any point in time type thing, you know? So if I'm leaning this way, I'm readily prepared to move in the other direction straight away. I basically just want to be light on my feet and just be fucking here, I'm here, and then I'm not, I'm ghost,
That would be the
Kaiser Sose, if you will.
basically.
functional dance for fighters.
Yeah.
I like
Would
it.
be like the same as
I'm
functional
gonna start that
bodybuilding for
Instagram account right now.
Stop.
Functional
Stop.
dance for fighters.
And I'll be
functional
the
dance
face
for
of it.
fighters.
Yeah. So that's right. So I'm like, yeah, functional, the word functional, like
Resonates.
well, it makes a lot of sense. Like it might have been a bunch of people doing a bunch of stuff, sport specific, because I'm about to tell you that I train because it's a bit sport specific and because I want it to make me feel good. But then they're trying to simplify it and boil it down into a language that people can understand. And like you said about movement, we just want to communicate a bigger idea in one word. You're like, oh, okay, functional, so you're on that end of the spectrum. So I guess I know that I'm training any accessory lifting or sets and rep stuff that I do in the gym is purely to get better at the function of, well, it's not a function, but more it's I see it as expression. I see like we got the training elements that build the vessel for me to express myself. That's really how I see my stuff here. So I put it in those two columns. I do sets and reps so that I can, and my expression at the moment is dance and fighting at the moment. And that's kind of how so that's why I train. So I can express myself better.
Physically.
And punch your ass in
I'd
the
say-
face right down the pipe, pretty much. Something going on between T and I at the moment. He's buying new gear. He's not doing those dance classes.
I got some new 16-ounce Hayabusas, and my shin pads are
Hayabusas?
Top King shin pads. Yeah, I haven't even been able to
for
use them.
sparring.
They've just been sitting there.
Did you get a pair
Doing
for me,
nothing.
bro?
Whereas I bought one of those.
You notice he didn't get me a pair. I'm ready.
I bought
Get
some
me
new
the
dancing
fucking biggest
tracksuit
mouth guard
pants.
they have, bro. And
Oh,
like
you're
double
coming
headgear.
in. You're coming
Put a
in.
fucking motorbike helmet on you.
I'll wear a bubble. I'll be like the bubble boy that comes into sparring class.
Sumo suit.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful.
I don't know how
I'm
that
really,
fits in.
I think
but
that's lovely, and I think, to be honest, you could probably say that about all of us.
yeah.
Like, I mean, you, Marco, Alan, especially. You know,
Yep.
I mean, even myself. I think it's an expression of how the stuff that you enjoy. It makes you feel good, you know, and it's also the discipline,
Yeah.
you know. Even the lift. Like today, I lifted. I didn't lift for any other reason but to get better at that lift.
Just
Working on
because
the
it's
snatch.
something you
And
work
that
on.
was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the sake of development.
That's the context. My context for my lift class today was to get better at doing a snatch.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know?
I dragged myself through a shit workout about an hour ago, which I really didn't want to do. It was like 45 minutes of bodybuilding. I just didn't feel like it at all. I was a bit tired. I had like work I wanted to do. Head wasn't in the game, but I was like, I'm just going to do this. My context today was to get it done so that I don't feel like shit tomorrow because I didn't train yesterday. You know, simple as that.
Nice.
You know, and I didn't have the, you know, the mental fortitude or whatever to work on anything super complex. which I might do regularly with my training, jumping on the rings or
Yep.
whatever. So I was just like, I'm just gonna fucking bash this out, keep it real simple,
Yeah.
and it was sweet. Now I feel great and I look massive.
You're functional.
Yeah, like
You're way functional.
I'm feeling pretty functional.
I've seen you lift my kids before.
See me put that kid on the shelf.
He was like, Uncle Joey, don't put me on the shelf. You're like, you're going
Shut
up there,
up, kid, I got this.
I've been training all week for this. Oh, too funny.
Yeah, it's true, right? Like, yeah, that's a good point. Like that the context changes.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like day to day,
Yeah,
you know? So it's like, I got to do it. I want to feel better. Oh, like although I said what I said, like sometimes, I don't know, coming through spring, I'm going to be training because I want to look damn good this summer.
yeah,
You know,
That's
I'm
right.
prepping for it now with all the food that I'm eating. But yeah, that's another part of it as well. That's the journey part and the development part and the discipline part as well.
yeah, totally. And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
9.
It's kind of like I think I see it too in terms of like, if we were living in a natural environment, we'd be under a lot more physical kind of duress throughout the days anyway, because we'd be having to, work hard to make a fire and source water and food and all those things. So training's not needed because you're doing it in your environment. But for us now, we don't live in an environment like that. So then we kind of have to artificially insert training into our day in order to, to like keep our body composition at a reasonable level, but also, express our hormones in a good way and just feel like a human. So then it's like, well, if you're going to train for an hour or an hour and a half, 2 hours, what are you going to do with that time? And that's really what we're talking about, right? I feel that. Like I feel like less of a human if I don't just do some exercise.
No, I think vitality's got a big thing to do with it, just feeling alive,
Yeah.
And I think the discipline side of things just keeps you occupied in a way. Like it keeps you motivated. It gives you something to strive for. It rewards you when you're doing something that you couldn't do, the 6 months before. And it also gives you longevity, and the further you get through those disciplines, the more of a competent higher performance vehicle you have to play in,
100%.
more durable.
That's right. 110%.
110%. You say that every podcast. You say 100% at least once.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say for me, I'm going to be 40 in October.
Oh.
So I keep talking about this.
Hard to believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were meant to be
You
going
need
to Burning Man this year?
Yeah, I was going to, but then didn't have enough money to do it.
Ah, we should start
the
a
way
fund
that
at the
you want to
gym.
do it.
Yeah.
I know what I'm going to do for my 40th. I was talking about it last night with Marco and my wife.
What are you
Tell
gonna
us. Tell us.
I'm going to do some
do? Ayahuasca.
ayahuasca.
Are
I'm
you?
going to do ayahuasca. Yeah, I'm going to get shaman. I'm going to do some ayahuasca.
That's fucking
Go on a
awesome.
little bit of an internal trip, travel.
What, you going to do it here, or you're going to fly somewhere?
No, I'll do it up north.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and it's like, I don't see the whole point in going to South America. I'm way more connected to this land.
Yeah.
I don't have any connection over there.
Yeah.
Plus the hospitals are better here. If something goes wrong,
It's true.
I could get whizzed off to a nice comfy bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, also I just feel like spiritually, I feel more connected with where I'm at.
It's a great point.
Close to my family and my friends and where I've been brought up. It would have to be here or somewhere in the South Pacific, But yeah, man, that's it.
That's fucking
Done.
cool. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should have a listen to, I just listened on the Tim Ferriss podcast. He had Michael Pollan on. If you know, Michael Pollan wrote The Omnivore's Dilemma. Very, really intelligent author, but also, talks a lot about food and sustainability and that kind of thing. He also did the documentary on Netflix called Cooked. If you haven't seen that, that's really good. But he's been on this whole psychedelics journey for the last couple of years, and he's written all about it. And he was talking to Joe Rogan about it, and talking about acid and mushrooms and DMT and ayahuasca and all that. It's really cool. It's really cool.
I'll have to have a listen.
Yeah, it's quite inspiring. And, made some amazing changes for him. And
Are you going solo, T?
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I've always wanted to do it. I've never felt really ready for it, but I think now I'm ready to face my inner demons. You know, or myself, I should say. You know, yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm ready for it.
Fuck, how cool, man.
Yeah, I think I. It's not that I couldn't have done it. I just feel like I'll get something out of it now. You know, this time in my life. Yeah.
That's fun.
And every year after that.
Yeah,
At
well,
Burning Man.
at Burning Man. That's still on the list, isn't it? I'd love to go there too.
It's kind of been like pushed way down the list, but that's all right.
Was that by you?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. Well, yeah. Closing thoughts on the training context side of things?
Well, I think. After you. Did I cut you off then?
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, anything is better than nothing. You know, so if you enjoy the reverse wood shop, and it's keeping you happy, and it's and that's what you like doing, then just do it. You know, but I do believe that if you really want longevity out of your training, you should be having some kind of contact, and that contact should be a discipline of some kind, because that's where the depth is. You know, that's where you hone your skills, and that's what keeps you coming back for more. You know, even if it's golf.
I enjoyed the
Golf's thing.
little history lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Just on functional fitness and how it was with bodybuilding. But
It was a bit of a guess. I'm just guessing that. I'm not
between
sure
the
if
two of
it
you.
was.
How it
Yeah.
evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of work. I'm sure there was someone,
Yeah.
some guy, probably a French guy, that came up with the whole thing. But,
It's American coach.
yeah, John Functional.
Some guy selling some band things on a
There's
infomercial.
Yeah, well, there's Mr. Nadi Aguilar, the functional patterns guy.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
all on that.
Ah.
He's the guy that hates deadlifting.
Oh.
Yeah, he deadlifts fucked.
Is that the guy on comes up in my feed
Oh,
all
he
the
has a
time on
bald
Come
Facebook?
on.
head. He
Yeah,
swings a double kettlebell.
Yeah,
jumps
loves it.
from
Yeah.
Bosu to Bosu to Bosu. Is that the one?
The little bald guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes Bosu.
Likes Bosu. Yeah, loves cable machine.
Yep.
Loves multiple planes.
Yep.
Love slow mo.
Loves
Everyone
the
I know
slam.
that's gone and done his course
Yeah.
loves him.
This is it. You know what?
Some really
the same.
good quality trainers
The same.
that I know.
Yeah.
I love him.
I think it's just his marketing because he puts out that negative vibe. Like he goes like, you know, like coming
Polarizer.
out. He is a polarizer.
Polarizer.
Saying I hate deadlifting.
Yeah.
I think it's stupid.
Polarizers.
That's kind of obviously like poking a stick at a bear.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dick. But I've heard the same thing. People that do his course quite like it.
He doesn't want you in his gym.
Fuck that guy. I got my own gym.
He wants that guy with
He
a
probably doesn't
notebook,
even have a
fitness
gym.
first.
Yeah. It's true.
Your final thoughts on?
Final thoughts for me is don't attach yourself to one idea too much. Look to other fields and see how they can benefit you. So maybe going and doing some yoga can help. Maybe going and doing some bodybuilding can help. Maybe, kind of similar to that idea of the podcast we did the other day of embracing the suck, but maybe going and doing some dance classes, something like that you feel really uncomfortable about. Like I know I'd feel pretty uncomfortable turning up to a dance class, and I know people that would like shit themselves.
I'd feel uncomfortable with you turning up to a dance.
What if I was wearing my spats? Would that make you feel uncomfortable?
Oh, that'd feel comfortable.
But yeah, so embrace that and look around and see what can help.
Mad.
And you?
You guys picked it all up. That's, fucking try and find something that you enjoy, something that that enriches you a little bit more, and instead of just turning up and doing it because whatever, you're doing it because you think you should,
Because you ate too many Tim Tams the night before.
Yes.
Exactly. Like it can be a lot richer, is what I mean to say. It can be a lot more fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to spend the time anyway.
Correct.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and the money,
You might as well enjoy it.
and get the most back for that time. You know,
Good talk,
Awesome.
team.
Yeah.
Nice
Sign
one,
off.
Yeah.
If you
Go
guys,
ahead.
if any of that resonates with you, fam, get in touch, junglebrothers.com. Also, if you like the message and you think that what we're talking about has some value for anyone you might know, please share the podcast with them. We appreciate that. The more listens, the better. You can leave us a review on iTunes. Jungle Brothers Movement on Instagram and Jungle Brothers Strength and Movement on YouTube if you're looking for more content. And yeah, if you want to talk about any of this, or you want help with what you're doing, or you want to see me in wrestling spats, get in touch. Jungle Brothers always here to help.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.